How does perceived equity affect bluffs in poker? Imagine you're sitting at a poker table and you want to make a move that could win you the pot without showing your cards. But how convincing your bluff is depends on what your opponents think about your hand. That's where perceived equity comes into play. Equity in poker is like your chance of winning the hand if everyone stays in until the end. It's based on the cards you hold and what the community cards are showing. Perceived equity is how your opponents judge your hand's strength based on your actions and the situation. If they think you have a strong hand, your perceived equity is high. If they think you're weak, it's low. When you bluff, you're trying to make opponents believe your perceived equity is high, even if your actual hand isn't that strong. If they buy into your story and think you have a powerful hand, they are more likely to fold. That's what makes a bluff successful. But if they see through your move and think your perceived equity is low, they won't fold, and your bluff falls flat. Several things influence how opponents see your perceived equity. For example, the community cards matter. If the board looks like you could have a flush or straight, they might believe your perceived equity is high. Your betting patterns also matter. If you've been aggressive and betting strongly, opponents might think you have a big hand, boosting your perceived equity. Your position at the table is another factor. Acting later gives you more information about what opponents are doing, so you can adjust your actions to look more convincing. If you bet or raise after seeing how others act, you can better control how your perceived equity is viewed. Your actual equity and how well you can realize it also play a role. If you have a hand that has a lot of potential but you don't show it strongly, opponents might think your perceived equity is low. Conversely, if you act confidently, it can make your perceived equity seem higher, even if your actual hand isn't that strong. Fold equity is another piece of the puzzle. This is the chance that opponents will fold to your bet. When your perceived equity is high, fold equity increases because opponents believe you have a strong hand and are more likely to fold. This makes your bluff more profitable. In the end, managing perceived equity is about telling a convincing story with your actions. If your betting and behavior suggest you have a strong hand, opponents will believe you and fold more often. If they think you're weak, they'll call or raise, and your bluff won't work. So understanding how your perceived equity influences their decisions is key to successful bluffing. By controlling how they see your hand, you can turn a simple bet into a powerful tool to win pots without showdown.